$1,000 might sound like a lot of money when it comes to Google Ads, but it's not really. It's around $33 per day, and it's really important that you get that money right and put it in the best campaigns as possible. And $1,000 is a great way to grow your business, bring in more leads, more sales, and make it profitable for your business long term, so eventually you can keep scaling on Google Ads. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to spend your first $1,000 on Google Ads whilst maintaining the best start as possible. And just before we get into the video, if you want a free Google Ads audit, I offer one on my website. Please get in touch. The link is in the description, and I'd love to look over your account for free. But now let's get into the video. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is $1,000. And it might seem a lot, especially for like an early business, but it's not as much as you actually think. Roughly $1,000 is about £33 per day according to Google Ads. And depending on what sort of niche you're in, whether it's e-commerce or lead generation, this might only be a certain amount of clicks. The thing that I recommend is roughly going after about 10 clicks per day. This is just so you can get the information back from Google and then learn from it long term. And also Google learns who your ideal customer is with this click data. So let's say you're spending $33 per day. Your maximum cost per click should be around £3.30. And obviously if you're in a space that where cost per click is around $10, it might not be enough clicks on your account to make it worthwhile long term. So the thing I recommend to look at is the Google Keyword Planner and see what is your max bid roughly within your niche. And to be honest with you, if it's around $5 per click, I strongly recommend that you actually increase your Google Ads budget. Yes, you can get away with a little bit less than 10 clicks, but this is just a criteria that I recommend you hit. So the first thing out of this is that maybe $1,000 won't be enough for your business, but look at Google Keyword Planner and see if it is. And the second thing I'm going to talk about is try to set a commercial goal for your business. Obviously, you want to promote as much as possible, but it might not be realistic in Google Ads, especially as that's not the best thing that works. Really try to prioritize the thing that you want most of all, whether it is lead generation, whether it's free audits, whether it's just a specific product on your website that you think performs the best. Try to understand exactly what you want to promote on Google Ads, because a lot of businesses that do wrong, they try to promote everything and then their budget is spread thin and they just don't get the results that they want. So let's say you are selling shoes and you're selling Adidas shoes. If you think Adidas performs best and you've got data to back that up, maybe just put a campaign live that is only promoting Adidas shoes rather than trying to spread it across your entire channels. And speaking of channels, let's say you're setting up your first ad. What sort of campaign should you set up to start with? I'm going to make it very, very easy for you. Start with a search campaign on Google. Let me explain more. Although search campaigns can seem like the most boring, obvious choice when it comes to Google Ads, a lot of times Google pushes things like PMax, but it might not be perfect for every business, especially lead generation businesses where search ads, you can basically go for people who are ideally searching for what you are promoting on your website. For example, I am working with a customer who sells gates and he wants customers who are wanting electric gates, that sort of thing, manual gates fitted, and people are already searching for that online. So if people are searching on Google for these sort of things, they see a perfectly working ad that says basically all your USPs, basically stands out from your crowd. This is how you can get the clicks easily on Google Ads, and these are very, very high intent searches. So try to go after your core product when it comes to that. Another thing as well is about the one campaign structure. I've talked about before about data and Google learning from your click data and who converts on your ads. And this is the case of this as well. Having one campaign rather than spreading your budget across can get more than conversions through that one campaign. Then Google can use that data to learn who your ideal customer is. Google can either choose between 50 people or 10 people that month who your ideal customer is. And of course, the 50 people is a lot more data than just the 10. So you can use this data a lot better, narrow it down who your ideal customer is rather than guessing from just 10 people per month. So keep it simple, just do one campaign, one commercial intent, and just keep it as that. Yes, you can have different ad groups within there, but try to keep it as simple as possible. Do not try to spread your budget too thin. And the next thing we're going to talk about is your searches. Which keywords should you prioritize? Try to go after very high intent keywords. For example, if you're a plumber who around a certain area, you want to go for people who are searching for things like emergency plumber near me. As those people are already looking for emergency, they need a plumber in, so go after these keywords because they are the best to do. Things to cut out are informational services. For example, how to do your own plumbing, because people aren't interested in your sort of service. You need to go after people with that commercial mindset. So when it comes to a smaller budget, you need to make sure that these are iron-proof, your keywords that you're going after, and also double check your search terms, what your ads are appearing for. because sometimes things can sneak through. Google's trying to spend your budget as much as possible, and you might be bidding on the wrong keywords. And the next thing we're going to talk about as well is keeping your locations realistic. Obviously, if you're based in a country, you might want to promote your product everywhere. But if you've got a really small budget, maybe you want to make it just a close area where you think people are more likely to purchase your product. For example, a lead generation business, if you are doing a service, maybe you just want a mile area from where you're based so you don't have to travel too far. And also an e-commerce business, maybe it doesn't make sense to ship it to a specific country. For example, Northern Ireland for the UK, sometimes it might cost extra fees to get it over there. So a lot of channels just cut that out so they don't have to spend money there and can put it into things like where they're based, and then it's easier to distribute out and people can get free offers like free delivery because it's closer. Same with localized marketing. Sometimes in the past I have offered promotions to Yorkshire-based businesses because that's where I'm from, and people are more likely to give a local person a helping hand. So definitely don't try to broaden your location too far. And the next thing we're going to talk about as well is conversion tracking. It is super important that you get this right from the start. I would say about 90% of audits that I do, once again, you can get a free audit, just look at the link in the description, get this wrong. They are not tracking the right thing. For example, e-commerce business, they might be tracking people putting things in the basket or just visiting the page. Lead generation, going to the contact form but actually not getting in contact. And the reason why you should iron this out, because people might go to your contact form, then realize that this is not their thing. They just want to look for a job, where people actually filling out the form might be actually interested in what you are selling. So go after people who have finalized either the checkout or landed on a thank you page, anything like that. Just make sure that these people are the people getting in contact with you to buy your services. And same with lead generation as well, not just form fills on your website. Maybe people click on links like your telephone number, your email address, WhatsApp, whatever. Make sure that you're tracking people who are clicking on these, because these are the people after your services. And I told you before that Google uses a lot of this data to find out who your ideal customer is. So without this, it's basically flying blind and you can't really scale or get much out of Google Ads, because Google sees your performance either incorrect, either going to the wrong audience, or it's just tanking and not doing anything at all. So make sure you get this right to set up. Also, with this data, you can use things like automated bidding. That works really well when it comes to Google. A lot of people go with the wrong one. Do not go after max clicks when it comes to starting your campaign from scratch. Go for maximized conversions, and I'll tell you why. Because max clicks, Google finds out who are more likely to click your ad, which might seem like it makes sense, but not people who are more likely to convert. And sometimes a lot of those people click on these ads, people trying to do it yourself sort of people. Where people more likely to convert are people who are actually your main target audience and actually want to purchase your product. And there's a big difference when it comes to that. And overall, when it comes to businesses, it's not all just about getting clicks to your website, it's getting people to convert and purchase your product that you are promoting. So make sure you use automated bidding, especially at max conversion. I'm not going to go too much in detail, but just switch it to max conversions if you can. The penultimate thing I'm going to talk about is being patient with your budget as well. Maybe you've spent about $500 out of your 1,000 budgets and you might not be seeing the results that you want. Please be patient with it. Google Ads to start with is always quite slow. You'll probably hardly spend anything, then all of a sudden overspend until it mediates out. Google is just learning what is and what isn't working on your accounts. I strongly recommend that you give Google around 3 months expenditure when it comes to this. Yes, it is $3,000, but normally by the 3-month mark, people see the big payoff when it comes to Google Ads. So keep hanging in there, keep making these refinements and stick to the plan. I found that a lot of people, especially people who are doing audits for, are getting a bit twitchy when it comes to starting their campaign from scratch. And this, I normally reassure them that this is totally normal, they shouldn't worry, but obviously I can go over the account and make sure it is all tickety-boo. And the final thing I'm going to talk about is actually when it might not be enough money. I've talked about before about budgets. Make sure that you look at Google Keyword Planner and make sure that the max bidding times 10 is roughly your budget. So if it basically is $3.30 per click or less, that means you are basically spending enough money. But sometimes, especially when it comes to lead generation, it could be a lot more than this. So for example, if you see the max click is about $10, you probably should spend about $100 instead. And also, let's say you are spending your $33 per day and you're getting really good results. when should you start scaling? Well, when I recommend when it comes to scaling your Google Ads account, you do it gradually. For example, go from $33 to about $40, see how things perform, because sometimes you can see cost conversion dip, ROAS dip when you do this sort of thing, and slowly start tweaking it up per the weeks, per the months, until you get a good baseline. Don't go from $33 to $1,000 per day just because you see it working. Try to build it up gradually and make sure that the stats don't start tanking or performance starts dropping. It's the safest way to do this, and just try to build it up over time for Google to use all the things that we've given it in this video. And that's the end of the video. This is what I would do with $1,000 on Google Ads, give or take. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And if you want a free Google Ads audit, just get in touch in the description, and I'd love to run it over your account. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.